Hello friends, welcome back to this video on analog communication. In this video, we are going to talk about the narrowband noise, which is a very important concept. In my previous videos, I have already talked about the active-white Gaussian noise and various other types of noises as well. So I hope you all have watched those videos. If not, I recommend you to watch those first, because here I'll be using those concepts. So if I talk about the active-white Gaussian noise, I already told you that active-white Gaussian noise is having uniform power spectral density, which is N0 by 2 for each frequency values. So this is S of F. S of F is denoting the power spectral density of active-white Gaussian noise. Now if I talk about the PDF would be Gaussian. So here I have the constant value of power spectral density for every frequency. So if I am talking about the infinite frequency value, that also is having the constant value of power spectral density, which is N0 by 2. Similarly, if I am talking about minus infinite frequency value, it is also having the same N0 by 2 power spectral density value. So now from here I got to know that the power required for its transmission would be infinite, because it is having the power spectral density component at every frequency. So now if I talk about the thermal noise, thermal noise is having the power spectral density component only from 10 raised to power 12 Hertz to 10 raised to power 15 Hertz. So this is again S of F, and this is thermal noise. So now what would be the power requirement? It would be infinite? No, because it is confined. So here the power is not equal to infinity. So now if I am talking about both of them, these are noise signals, and a noise signal is requiring infinite power. Is it practically realizable? No. So here the active-white Gaussian noise is just a concept. It is not practically realizable because it is requiring infinite power. But if I talk about the thermal noise, here it is not requiring infinite power, so it is practical concept. So now I hope you understood the difference between the two. Here it is a wide band noise. Now here you can see it is a narrow band noise. It is confined over the defined frequency values. So here I'll be talking about their differences. So as I already told you, active-white Gaussian noise is requiring infinite power because it has uniform power spectral density for each frequency value up to infinity. So from minus infinity to infinity it has power spectral density. That is why it is requiring infinite power. So now it is practically unrealistic. Now the thermal noise requires finite power because it has the power spectral density only for the range 10 raised to power 12 Hertz to 10 raised to power 15 Hertz. So it is a practical concept. So now if I talk about the receivers. So receivers require pre-processing. So what happens in the pre-processing? In the pre-processing, we are interested to detect only our modulated signal. So we are having the infinite frequency range over which a lot of signals are present. So now this is the frequency. So here at FC I'll be having a component, and at minus FC I'll be having a component. So in the pre-processing, what I'll be doing, I'll be using a band pass filter to pass this component and this component only. So we are just trying to pass this component and this component. So the noise also is passing in this area and this area only. So noise is affecting in this bandwidth, which is, so here I have the upper value, which is Fc plus W, lower value is Fc minus W. Here upper value would be Fc minus Fc plus W, here minus Fc minus W. So the bandwidth is 2 omega, here 2 omega. So the noise is coming only in this bandwidth only. So the noise is now the narrow band noise. We don't have the higher frequency noise components and the lower frequency noise components, because in the pre-processing these noise would be not allowed to pass to the receiver. So now we are interested only in the detection and the analysis of the narrow band noise only. Additive white Gaussian noise would not be affecting this signal. So here so in the pre-processing, band pass filter will allow only range of frequencies where modulated signal is present, and it will block all the other frequencies. So now if I classify the narrow band noise, so narrow band noise requires the two conditions to be called as a narrow band noise. So the two conditions for a noise to be classified as narrowband noise is that the power spectral density is defined only for narrow band of frequency, like in the thermal noise I said, it is defined only for some frequency values. Now the second condition is that the center frequency is much higher than the bandwidth. So I said that in the thermal noise the power spectral density was defined for 10 raised to power 12 to 10 raised to power 15. The center frequency is very much higher than the bandwidth. So now I hope you understood the conditions very well. So now here we'll be talking about this narrowband noise. So the narrowband noise is a sinusoidal noise which is having the narrowband noise is a sinusoidal noise which is having the varying phase and the varying amplitude. So if I observe it on the oscilloscope, so on the oscilloscope it looks like this. So here we have variable amplitude and variable phase. So now if I want to denote it, so in mathematically it is denoted like this. So Ct into cos omega Ct plus theta t. So now this is my narrow band noise. So now this is representing my varying amplitude and this is representing my varying phase. So now if I represent the quadrature representation, so in the quadrature representation I'll be having two components. So here I have NIT which represents the in phase component, which is multiplied by cos 2 pi FCT minus NQT, which is represents the quadrature component, which is multiplied with sine 2 pi fct. So this is my NT, the representation of noise with the help of two quadrature components. So here NIT was in phase component, NQT was quadrature component. Now if I talk about the amplitude, so the amplitude is given by, so amplitude of NT is given by under root NIT square plus NQT square. So this is the amplitude, you can see from this equation. So now if I talk about the phase is given by phi t. Phase is equal to tan inverse minus NQT upon NIT. So this is the phase. So from here I can see that the amplitude is following the Rayleigh distribution. What was the Rayleigh distribution? The Rayleigh distribution was the combination of two quadrature components. So here I have NQT and here I have NIT, both are in quadrature to each other, and this is my NT. So from here I can directly see that the amplitude is following the Rayleigh distribution. Now if I talk about the phase is following the uniform distribution. So now we'll be talking about the properties of these components. So the first property states that these both components NIT and NQT are slow varying low frequency component. The second property would be both NIT and NQT are Gaussian or independent Gaussian distribution with zero mean. So here both are following the Gaussian distribution and the mean is 0. So now the third property is variance of NIT is equal to or NQT. So both variance is equal to variance of NT. So both are having the same variance which is equal to the variance of NT. So now if I talk about the next property, if NT is Gaussian, then NIT and NQT are both jointly Gaussian. So the next property states that if NT is stationary, both NIT and NQT are jointly stationary. So now the next property is really important. So the next property states that the power spectral density of Ni is equal to the power spectral density of NQ, which is equal to So the power spectral density of NIF is equal to the power spectral density of the quadrature component, which is equal to the power spectral density of output, which is frequency shifted. So F minus Fc plus the power spectral density of output, so which is this frequency shifted F plus Fc. So we are shifting the frequency by minus Fc and plus Fc of the output power spectral density of the noise, and we'll add both of them, which will give the power spectral density of the in-phase component and the quadrature component, and it is valid for minus W to F to W only, and it is 0 otherwise. So now here I can say that where SNF is defined only for F minus W less than equal to mod of F is less than equal to F plus W. So here I'll be stopping my discussion. Now in the next video I'll be talking about the mathematical parameters, and there you will be getting more clarification about this narrowband noise. So here in this video I have only talked about the introduction of the narrowband noise, and here I just gave you the brief overview. Now in the next video we'll analyze it in detail and its mathematical parameters also. So stay tuned for the next video. I hope you like this video. If you like it, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel and push the like button. Thank you.